And while damage to the U.S. interests was minimal, the Taliban did get a message across in a very, very big way. Our Pentagon correspondent, Chris Lawrence, is working the story for us. Chris, lots at stake here. What's the latest?
Yeah, well, if there seems to be mixed signals among some of the top American officials in Afghanistan, look, this was the third spectacular attack in Kabul in the last 3 months. Even the U.S. military commander there in Afghanistan says in some ways it was a propaganda victory for the Taliban, but the U.S. ambassador says no big deal.
Taliban fighters held out for 20 hours, firing machine guns and RPGs at the U.S. embassy in Kabul. But the U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan doesn't sound impressed.
If that's the best they can do, I think it is actually a statement of their weakness.
That's probably not how it looked to the Afghan kids screaming inside a school bus. Or the 5 Afghan police officers the militants killed. 11 civilians died too, half of them children.
These were 5 guys that rumbled into town with RPGs under their car seats. This really is not a very big deal.
Tactically, the operation certainly was a success. I mean, it garnered international headlines. It was just days after 9/11.
Analyst Jeff Dressler has made numerous trips to Afghanistan. He says the Taliban has been trying to expand its presence around Kabul for years. They use historical connections with nearby tribes, intimidate some and pay off others to get a foothold, which allows them to launch attacks into the capital. It's true that no Americans were killed. Firing RPGs from 800 meters away is not going to do major damage to the embassy. And there's a danger in making too much of one day.
It's relatively difficult to execute acts like that on a regular basis inside Kabul. The Afghan security forces do a pretty good job of keeping things locked down there.
But in a country where most people are illiterate, that nuance gets lost.
It does certainly represent their ability to create the perception that they're overrunning Kabul and really force Afghans to question whether or not Afghan security forces can protect them.
Yeah, and perception is everything there in Afghanistan. U.S. officials do agree that they think the Haqqani Network was behind this operation, and this attack clearly shows that, A, they're not interested in any sort of reconciliation with the Afghan government, and they're still able to launch attacks from their safe haven over in Pakistan.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. We'll watch this story.